I suggest that we kick off, actually. To make this a nice start of the new Southern African Netherlands cybersecurity school. The second in a row this year. Last year was actually a trial whether this would be a success, could be a success. And I think already for that start last year, it was a success because we had 1900 subscribers at that point in time. So I said to the team, actually, I hope that we can match that again. And I can tell you today that we reached over 2,800 subscribers. So that's more than successful, I would suggest, claiming. And not only from the Netherlands, of course, but from South Africa, but it's Southern Africa. But all in all, the last bean count last week was that we have participants from 67 countries. It's really amazing, 67 countries. So my name is Mies Rademaker. I'm the Deputy Director of the Hague Center for Strategic Studies and co-organizing this together with the University of Stellenbosch and especially with Noel Cowling and others like Brad van Nieuwkerk and Trishan Ran Lukan. I hope that I pronounced it correctly. And today we have a start of quite an interesting endeavor actually for the next couple of weeks. Besides lectures, there will be a serious game, but we will also have a challenge. And the challenges this year will be provided by both Microsoft, Datagrade, Deloitte, and Hunt and Hackett. The first three might be familiar to most of you. Hunt and Hackett is some smaller entity in the Netherlands, but they will deliver quite an interesting lecture on, because they did the security risk analysis of the NATO summit that's going to happen in June in The Hague this year. So that's quite an interesting one to listen to, I think, as a lecture, but they also provide a challenge. So the four are providing challenges, which is great. But above all, I would like to thank also our co-organizers, so Noel and Brett and Trishan, as well as the one of our panelists later on, which is Professor Kansu from University Stellenbosch to make this all happen, and of course our Ministry of Foreign Affairs, providing the support necessary to kick off this the second school again. The program will be that we will do a couple of inaugural addresses, and after that there will be quite an interesting panel, and then we will get a little bit more to hear about what the school is all about, and maybe some aspects that you are interested in as a participant. So without further ado, I would like to suggest that we start with the inaugurals, and I think he was one of the first also joining this session, which is Ernst Norman, who is the National Netherlands Cyber Ambassador, and familiar with this school and also the other school that we organized together with India. So without further ado, Ernst, I would like to give you the floor, please.
Thank you very much, Michel. An honor to be here. I want to welcome also the Honourable Member of Parliament, Emma Powell, dear Professor Ratnam, and of course the other panelists. But most importantly, I want to welcome all the students participating in this call. And I just saw there are quite a lot of them participating in this one. So welcome also to the opening from my side to the Southern African Netherlands Cyber Security School 2025, SANCS 25 as it's called for short. Today marks the beginning of an incredible journey through the vast and ever-evolving landscape of cyberspace. Looking at the program ahead, I must admit I'm envious of the experience you're about to embark on. The opportunity to fully immerse yourself in this field comes at a crucial time, as advancements in cybersecurity continue to accelerate at an unprecedented pace, even faster than last year. Over the coming weeks, you will engage with an exceptionally diverse program that spans digital forensics, aviation cybersecurity, quantum cryptography, incident response, and whatnot. You will learn from leading experts across disciplines, computer science, law, crisis management, and from leading industry representatives who will share the insights, equipping you with the knowledge and skills needed to tackle real-world cyber challenges. You will also collaborate in interdisciplinary teams across the globe, competing in the challenges and the cyber resilience game, where theory meets practice. A special thanks to you, to our challenge partners. It was already mentioned by Michelle, Deloitte, DataGrade, Microsoft, and Hunt and Haggett for the commitment to SANS. Your dedication ensures that participants receive hands-on, cutting-edge learning experiences that reflect the real-world challenges of cybersecurity. In preparing for this speech, I watched the testimonials of 6 SANS ambassadors, individuals from diverse backgrounds, interests, and expertise who participated last year and have since launched their careers in cybersecurity. Their stories highlight not only the rapid pace of the field, but also the incredible opportunities that await those who embrace this journey. But let me be clear, this will not be a walk in the park. Success in this program requires commitment, effort, and resilience. To make the most of this opportunity, you must fully engage, collaborate, and push yourself. The reward, not one, but 2 certificates. A recognition of your hard work and a stepping stone to future opportunities, including the highly competitive Cyber Talent Accelerator. I'm thrilled to see SANCS 25 grow even more popular than last year, with over, as Michelle mentioned, 2,800 participants joining from across Southern Africa, the Netherlands, and way beyond. Cyberspace knows no borders, and neither should your efforts to secure it. This program embodies a spirit of international collaboration, a principle that is fundamental to addressing the complex challenges of today's digital world. I always say cybersecurity is a team sport, nationally and internationally. For the Netherlands, global cooperation in cybersecurity is a strategic priority. As outlined in our international cyber strategy, we are committed to maintaining an open, free, interoperable, and secure internet, one that upholds human rights and democratic values, offline and online. We are proud to work alongside countries in the Southern African region, including South Africa, Namibia, on cybersecurity capacity building, and we look forward to expanding this partnership in the years to come. For this, I call on the Honourable Member Emma Powell, who joins us here today. Emma is a long-standing friend of the Netherlands and alumni of the Ministry's Visitors Program. I hope that with your support, we can build this ever-expanding partnership on cybersecurity. Before I conclude, I want to extend my gratitude to our organizing partners, the Hague Center for Strategic Studies, Stellenbosch University, and the Cybersecurity Institute for the hard work in bringing this program to life. To all participants, seize this opportunity. Engage, collaborate, and challenge yourselves. This journey will be demanding, but it will also be incredibly rewarding. Strap in, stay focused, and get ready for an unforgettable ride. And who knows, I might even pop into a future lecture to see to see how things are going and to learn more myself. Best of luck to all of you and welcome to SANCS 25. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Ambassador, for your encouraging words. And indeed, as you said, it is a challenge. It's hard work, but I can promise all participants that it indeed is rewarding. And maybe Stephanie, before I introduce Miss Emma Powell, you can show the one screen that was already mentioned by Mr. Norman with the our student ambassadors for the school, because also they did some hard labor to get so much subscribers to the school. So maybe Stephanie, you can screen that sheet for a moment. Yes, there they are. So these students joined last year and were volunteering to be ambassadors to the school. So also don't forget, as new subscribers to the school, we also for next year, and we'll ask you after the school, want to like to invite some of you to be ambassador, to be promotional active for the school next year. So thank you so much. And without further ado, I would like to go over to Miss Emma Powell now. Emma Powell is a member of Parliament of South Africa, and quite honored to have you here, Emma. Also for reasons that it's not only the taggies, but it's also the politicians that should support this knowledge gathering and extension potential. So I'd like to give you the floor to address the students, please. Go ahead.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. I've certainly, over my political journey, had a long-standing and productive friendship with the Netherlands. And we are so grateful for your continued investment into our development. So, honored guests, esteemed colleagues, valued partners, and of course, most importantly, participants, it's a pleasure to welcome you to the Southern Africa Netherlands Cybersecurity School. This initiative reflects a strong and growing collaboration between South Africa and the Netherlands in tackling critical cybersecurity challenges. As our world becomes increasingly digital, the need for secure and resilient cyber environments is greater now than ever. This program will provide an important platform to exchange knowledge, develop skills, and build partnerships that will strengthen our collective cybersecurity capabilities. Now, South Africa, like many nations across the world, is grappling with the realities of an increasingly digital world, where we are seeing cybercrime become more sophisticated and where it is targeting businesses, governments, and citizens alike. Whilst the Cybercrimes Act of 2021 did indeed take significant steps to combat cyber offences, this legislation isn't enough alone. We need skilled professionals, robust public-private partnerships, and international cooperation to build a truly resilient digital ecosystem. This is where SANCS 25 plays a crucial role, bridging the gap between policy, academia, and industry to equip the next generation of cybersecurity experts. This is because cyber threats do not recognize borders, and neither should our efforts to address them. Both South Africa and the Netherlands have recognized the importance of cyber resilience, of international cooperation, and capacity building in protecting our critical infrastructure, businesses, and citizens from risks. Over the last 2 years, our countries have been building a strong partnership, and SANCS 25 is another step on that journey. Now, colleagues, cybersecurity isn't just a technical issue. It is a strategic priority for the future. Our ability to safeguard critical infrastructure, financial systems, and of course, personal data depends on regional and international cooperation. South Africa is committed to working closely with our partners, including the Netherlands and other global stakeholders, to strengthen our defenses and our capability building. Through initiatives like this, we are laying the foundations for a future where African cybersecurity expertise is recognized as a leader on the global stage. Over the next few weeks, each of you will explore interesting topics such as digital forensics, AI-driven security, quantum cryptography, and privacy law. You will also have the opportunity to engage in real-world challenges and to work alongside experts from both South Africa and the Netherlands. These experiences will build your knowledge and help you build a strong professional network that will then support you as you advance in your career. In closing, I would like to extend my sincere appreciation to the Hague Center for Strategic Studies, to Stellenbosch University, the Cybersecurity Institute, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and of course, a special thank you to our challenge partners, DataGreat, Deloitte, Microsoft, and Hunt & Hackett, for providing your valuable expertise to enhance this learning experience. And lastly, to the participants, take full advantage of this exciting opportunity. Learn, collaborate, and challenge yourselves. Cybersecurity is a field that is constantly evolving, and the work that you will each do here is going to shape our collective future. So, welcome to SANCS 25. I wish each of you a productive and rewarding experience. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Emma, for these encouraging words and the importance that you also stressed that these kind of collaborations have. So thank you so much for that. So we have another speaker, it's Professor Kanshu Rajaratnam, the director of the School for Data and Computational Science of the University of Stellenbosch, and he's also a supporter of the school. Of course, we met already, Kanshu. So happy to have you here again and see you with his nice background. I'm a bit jealous here. But I would like to give you the floor a couple of minutes to address all the participants. Please, go ahead.
Thanks, Michelle. It's wonderfully warm out here in Stellenbosch. I hope it is the same for you on that side. Welcome to the second edition of the South Africa Netherlands Cybersecurity School, or SANCS. A special welcome to Ambassador Noorman, MP Emma Powell, and Mr. van der Ommeren. Our challenge partners, our organizers such as yourself, Michelle and Noel, etc., and our sponsors. But most of all, a special welcome to the participants. I mean, we are really honored to have you participating in the summer school. So as we digitalize our way of being, from economics to health, from energy infrastructure to economic trade, cybersecurity is becoming ever more important. This is especially so that we can protect our way of life and protect the most vulnerable against us, who may be hit the hardest if there was a cyber breach. Having said that, a cyber breach impacts all of us, not just the most vulnerable people. It impacts us across economic status, across different status quos that we have. We saw this during 2021 unrest in South Africa. The Durban ports were hit. This had implications for trade, for import and export, not just in South Africa, but also on our trading partners internationally. A weakness in the digital infrastructure has implications for all, across borders as we live in an interconnected system. Just as in the Durban port example, we have seen an increase in cyber attacks from both governmental and private groups against various entities. In December 2024, the South African Bureau of Standards suffered a major ransomware cyber attack. In fact, one of our biggest banks had a data incident in November 2024. These are examples of cyber incidents that cripple entities and has impact on a wider range of people. Internationally, you may have read yesterday that the new Defense Secretary of the US, Peter Hegseth, has ordered the US Cyber Command to stand down from all planning against Russia. This is an example where the world is changing and becoming more unsafe. This means we in South Africa, in Africa, and in fact globally need to take cognizance of the ever-looming threat and build human capacity in cybersecurity. At the School for Data Science and Computational Thinking at Stellenbosch University, where I am at, we are partnered with the Dutch government, HCSS, and Cybersecurity Institute to bring the summer school in order to build capacity in cybersecurity, not just in South Africa or Africa and Netherlands, but globally. Like Michelle had said, there are various participants across the globe. Remember, this is only your first step. Knowledge is power. So you need to use this to think about your next step in the cybersecurity world and become more skilled in this space. There's a lot of opportunities in this space, and you have also an opportunity to network across the future and current leaders in cybersecurity. I want to thank the sponsor, the Dutch government, and our partners and challenge partners who have played a part. While I'm standing here welcoming you from Stellenbosch University's side, the real work from our side has been from Noel van der Wag. So I want a special thanks to her, who's our local expert in cybersecurity. She has really worked hard from our side. I want to leave you with one lasting challenge, and this is a challenge for everyone, not just the participants, but also organizers and the future leaders in the space. Cybersecurity is an area that we can develop with little physical infrastructure. We can use cloud infrastructure. We don't need physical infrastructure at our entities. We don't need large laboratories like in chemistry or MRI scanners like in medicine. This means we can easily incorporate more people into the area because the main resource is brain power. I want to see the cybersecurity space transformed with more women taking part than we have seen at the start of traditional academic disciplines. I want to leave you with that last thought as I finally say thank you and welcome to SANCS 2025. Thanks.
Thank you, Kanshu, and nice to have this challenge for all of us at the end. Thank you so much, and enjoy the good weather there.
Thank you.
Okay, then our last inaugural speech will be held by André van Ommeren. And André is from, in Dutch, called RVO, but that translates in English into the Netherlands Enterprise Agency. And I think it's best for him to maybe in one or two words explain what RVO does and is. But I think it's nice to have you on board, André, and I would like to introduce you, to ask you to take the floor, and hopefully we can see you on camera. So please, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Michel. As you said, my name is André van Ommeren, and I'm Director of Sustainable Economic Development from RVO, the Netherlands Enterprise Agency. And the Netherlands Enterprise Agency is a huge organization within the Netherlands, and we are an implementing partner of several ministries, such as the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. So that is in short what the Netherlands Enterprise Agency is. And what we do in this regard, I like to explain further in my speech. But please allow me to say hello, and ladies and gentlemen, everyone, all the participants, the Member of Parliament, Mr. Ernst Norman, and Mr. Rajaraman from the Stellenbosch University, and all protocol observed. It's an honor to welcome you all on behalf of the Netherlands Enterprise Agency to the kickoff of the Southern Africa Netherlands Cybersecurity School of 2025. And this event marks the start of an exciting opportunity, one that can open doors to new skills, professional growth, and a meaningful career in cybersecurity. Today, you are taking the first step towards a field that's not only rapidly evolving, but also crucial in protecting the digital world we've all increasingly rely on. The Netherlands Enterprise Agency is proud to once again support the cyber talent accelerating track, which Mr. Norman was speaking about in his speech. And this initiative provides 20 selected participants from this summer school with a 6-month full-time cybersecurity training program. It is designed to help bridge the transition from education to employment, ensuring that young professionals in South Africa gain the experience and expertise and experience needed to enter the cybersecurity workforce. The value of this program goes beyond technical training. It equips you with the skills, mindset, and industry exposure needed to succeed in this dynamic field. The demand for cybersecurity specialists is growing rapidly. Organizations worldwide are searching for skilled professionals who can protect digital systems and counter cyber threats. Every day, businesses, governments, and individuals facing increasingly complex cyber risks, making the need for trained experts more pressing than ever. The Cyber Talent Accelerator track presented by the Cybersecurity Institute is more than just a training course. It's a comprehensive program that prepares you for the realities of the industry. Through this program, you will earn the CSI certificate in cybersecurity, accredited by the Cape Peninsula University of Technology. You will also develop practical skills in IT and IE essentials, Python programming, workplace simulation, and join industry-led masterclasses. Additionally, you will be able to test your abilities in a dynamic, real-world cybersecurity scenario. This hands-on experience ensures that you are not only learning, but also applying your knowledge in a situation that reflects the challenges professionals face every day. The results speak for themselves. Last year, 18 out of 20 graduates of this program secured employment, proof of the effectiveness of this training and the high demand for cybersecurity professionals. More importantly, it highlights the dedication of students like you who are eager to make a difference. This is not just a statistic. It is a testament to what is possible when talent meets opportunity. And I have no doubt that this year's participant will build on this success. If you are serious about the career in cybersecurity, I encourage you to seize this opportunity. Completing this summer school and obtaining the certificate for the participation is the first step towards applying for the accelerated track. This certification is not just a document, it's a stepping stone. It demonstrates your commitment to learning, your dedication to professional growth, and your readiness to contribute to the field. At the Netherlands Enterprise Agency, we are committed to support talent development, economic growth, and job creation. By investing in cybersecurity education, we are empowering individuals and strengthening digital security across industries. The digital economy is growing at an unprecedented rate, and the cybersecurity sector plays a pivotal role in ensuring its security and resilience. With each trained professional, we take a step forward towards a safer digital future for all. So, dear participants, take this challenge with determination. Stay engaged, keep learning, and make the most of this experience. Connect with your peers, learn from the industry experts, and push yourself to develop new skills. Your journey in cybersecurity starts now, and we look forward to seeing where it takes you. You have the potential to be part of the next generation of cybersecurity leaders. So embrace the challenge and make the most of this incredible opportunity. I thank you very much and the best of luck. Thank you.
Thank you, André, for these encouraging words. Also, very much appreciate the fact that the Cyber Accelerator was mentioned, because that indeed is a huge opportunity. So thank you so much.
You're welcome.
What I would like to suggest now is that we go over to our panel session that is planned for the panel on emerging technologies in cybersecurity. And she was already screened. That is Noelle Carling, who is already very closely working with the team at HSS, and I'll come to the whole team later on to thank them again. But I would like to give you, Noel, the floor to introduce your panelists, the panel as such. And again, want to like to thank you already again for the commitment also that you show in making this school a success. Please, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Michelle. So good afternoon, everyone. And yes, I would invite the members of the panel to please put their cameras on, and so that I can introduce everyone. I think one of our panelists is having some tech issues, but could I ask? I see that we've got Dr. Msweni is here, Carissa Varma is here, Sanjeev Relia is here. Please put your cameras on and join me in the panel discussion.
Yeah, and I think it's important that that Noel, you're not only highlighted, but that because then we cannot see the rest. So it's either Stephanie or Emma helping out on not having you as screened. Yeah, that's the way it is.
I can't see the rest of the panelists right now. Sorry, at all. I don't know if everyone can see me. I just need to get this sorted out. It's quite difficult otherwise to run the panel.
Yes, we can see you.
Noel. And I can see Sanjeev.
I'm just
Can't see Jabu or Carissa yet.
Just the presenters, maybe not see the attendees, because that's a problem. I can see you, Stephanie, but I can't see the rest of the panelists.
No, me neither.
I don't know. I don't know if it's possible to just make the presenters all spotlighted. I can try.
Okay, Jabu, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. I'm here.
Okay.
No.
Hi.
Can you hear me?
Hi,
And
Jabu.
spotlights. Yeah.
And
there you
Carissa?
It seems to work. Yeah, we have
Yeah,
two
as well.
now.
It's funny. Yeah, I'm spotlighting him.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
There you go.
Carissa.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Great.
Okay,
Is that better?
I can see the panelists now. Thank you so much. Thanks, Stephanie. And without any further ado, then let me welcome our panelists for this afternoon. As I've said, one of our panelists is MIA at the moment, but we'll see what we can do to help him. I think he's having some technical issues, but it is a pleasure to welcome you to our inaugural panel this afternoon. We're going to be speaking on cybersecurity and emerging technologies this afternoon. And I'd just like to start by introducing the panelists and then asking them to just introduce themselves as well. So I'd like to welcome Colonel Sanjeev Riela from India, from Athenia Technologies, Dr. Jabu Msweni from the CSIR, who is the head of the Information Security and Cybersecurity Center at the CSIR, as well as a head researcher, and Ms. Carissa Varma, welcome, Chief Security Officer for Africa for Microsoft. It's such a pleasure to have such an esteemed panel this afternoon. Thank you for taking the time to join us. We're going to run in a bit of a format this afternoon where the panelists and I will conduct a discussion for a while. And after, at say the midway point, we're going to open the panel up to questions from the audience. So we'll be taking questions from the audience, giving the students a chance to ask directly from the expert panelists. So, Colonel Sanjeev, if I may ask you, could you introduce yourself to the audience, please?
Yeah, sure. Good evening from India, and greetings for the day. I feel honored to be part of this wonderful panel. I was part of the effort of the Hague Center for Strategic Studies, who ran a similar effort in India last year, Indo-Dutch Cybersecurity School, where I was given I was asked to deliver a lecture on AI and how it impacts cybersecurity, and that is why perhaps the Hague Center decided to call me again for this inaugural session. It's a matter of honor for me to be part of this panel. So as she said, my name is Sanjeev Relia. I'm based out of New Delhi in India, the capital of India. I started my career with the Indian Army, where I was responsible for the telecommunication, voice and data networks, and eventually last 6-7 years of my service, I was taking care of cybersecurity issues in the Indian Army. I had the privilege and honor to go to the US and train with the US Cyber Command on issues of defensive cyber operations. I've had the privilege of serving in special forces in India and in counterinsurgency operations. Now, I retired in 2019, and since then, I have been working in the cybersecurity industry. I initially worked as the Chief Information Security Officer of a company based in New Delhi. Thereafter, I shifted into an Israeli company where I was heading their business in India on capacity building and cyber ranges. And for last about a year and a half now, I have been working with this company called Athenian Tech, which is into cybersecurity services such as threat intelligence, due diligence, digital brand protection, and so on and so forth. I'm also involved with a Geneva-based organization called Center for Humanitarian Dialogue, where I'm working on a cyber diplomacy project between India and China. I have authored a book whose title is Cyber Warfare, Its Implication on National Security. It primarily deals with the threat which countries or nations in critical infrastructure faces and what can be done to mitigate this threat in the cyberspace. I have written a large number I write regularly on national dailies, and I also appear on national and international television channels for various aspects of cybersecurity. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Colonel. Carissa Varma, please tell our audience a bit about yourself.
Thanks, Niall. I'm Carissa Varma. I'm Microsoft's Chief Security Advisor for Africa. Prior to that, I was Group CISO at Vodacom across 8 African markets, and prior to that, Group CISO at Old Mutual across 13 African markets. I'm also President and founder of Women in Cybersecurity Southern Africa, which is across 11 African markets, and that's really my passion project and my after-hours bit that I give to the community.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Carissa. Java and Sweeney.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I hope you can hear me. So, and
Okay.
thank you for the opportunity for me to be part of this initiative. I was here last year. I'm glad to be back, and see that the initiative has grown. Almost 600 people on the call. It shows that there's a great interest in this. So I'm Dr. Jabu Mtsweni. I'm the head of information and cybersecurity at the CSR, which is Council for Scientific and Industrial Research. I'm also an academic, as well as a research fellow at various institutions, including Stellenbosch University. I just do a lot of work in publication, but also technical work, working in South Africa, Africa, and the world on issues of cybersecurity. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Java. So, to just set a bit of a background, we're taking on almost 2 threads in this panel today. We're going to be talking firstly about what does the current cybersecurity what is the landscape? What is the scene looking like? Are we seeing noticeable changes due to emerging technologies? And then following that, we're also going to look at, well, given the fact that there are a lot of emerging technologies coming through and they're obviously having impacts on cybersecurity, what type of skill sets are we looking for in cybersecurity professionals and how do those evolve? And I think if we have a look at Southern Africa, we know that Southern Africa has experienced a lot more cyber activity, adversarial type of cyber activity in the last 18 months. We've seen a considerable tick. We've seen the public sector taking a bit of a hammering in the last 6 months as well. So we've got that going on. But we also obviously have hyper-technology change going on alongside that. And, I think if we just take a step back and look at one of the Standard Bank releases on a breach that they had towards the end of last year, where they made the rather startling announcement that, in fact, Standard Bank cybersecurity budget for 2024 was R1 billion. Billion rand. And as they said at the time, it's way short of what they actually need. And I think that starts giving us an idea of the scale of the challenge that we're up against. Cybersecurity, cyber crime has actually run over $1 trillion annually now already. I mean, the numbers are staggering in terms of what we're dealing with. And on top of all of this, we have a cyber skills shortage globally. And that's not to say that it's easy to get into cybersecurity, because employers also sort of tend to want to demand some quite high-end skills. So, you know, we've also got this missing rung of the ladder right. So there's lots of things that we can talk about here. So I'm going to actually dive in firstly with you, Chris, and I'm going to ask you, nice question, I think, based upon your experience in Africa, and you've got significant experience. What are you seeing with regard to cybersecurity and the impact of cyber threats across the continent?
Yeah, no, I think it's, you know, I've worked my entire career in Africa across many, many countries. I've led teams across 39 African countries across my career. So pretty much the majority of Africa I've done something across. And what really, you know, really worries me is the amount that we are losing due to cybercrime. On the African continent, we're losing, and there's different, you know, statistics around this. Some people say $4 billion US dollars. Some people are saying $8 billion US dollars annually. And that's a staggering amount of lost potential on the continent. If you have to think about plowing that back into skills or plowing that back into businesses, into governments, how much more, you know, capabilities could we get on the continent? So I think it's a huge opportunity to be able to transform what we are able to do in Africa if we can curb the amount of cybercrime that's happening in Africa. And you know, the second point I'll make is now joining Microsoft, I joined in October. It's amazing what we're seeing across the world. I mean, we see something like 7,000 password attacks a second. But equally, we're seeing that there's a lot of people that are having success in preventing breaches. And we've seen over the last year that ransomware overall has decreased by 3 times. That's because there's more controls going into place. There's more protective mechanisms going into place, and attackers are now moving to environments that are unprotected. And unfortunately for Africa, the environments that are unprotected are still quite large, and that's the gap that we have to close. We are seeing a bit of progress. Interpol released a report last year that said that there were more than 10,000 arrests made across the continent. And that is now as a drive of increased regulation, as a drive of increased mechanisms by governments, cross-collaboration, broader than Africa, into America, into Europe, to be able to collaborate to stop cybercrime perpetrators that are operating in Africa. And that leaves me hugely optimistic. So in a summary, I'd say big challenge, big problem. We've got the people, the youngest population. We've got the right regulatory instruments coming into play. We've got community. I think it's up to us to be able to transform the landscape and change what's happening on the continent.
Wow, Chris, so thank you. That is incredibly great insight that you've just given us. And, you know, I love this phrase that people have, that Microsoft in particular has its hands deep inside. Just the amount of data points that Microsoft is sitting with, and it's to get those types of insights. I don't know that anyone else can actually draw that type of data from cyberspace as Microsoft. So thank you for that overview of the whole. And I think we're going to circle back to quite a few questions arising out of it. Jabu, so I think building on what Chris has told us now, if we have a look at South Africa's increasing levels of digital dependence, or Southern Africa's increasing levels of digital dependence, but the challenges of limited resources, and I think both in terms of people as well as funding, etc. But yet we see this rapid adoption of emerging technologies, from cloud to IoTs to even AI, etc. In South African organizations, what type of vulnerabilities are spinning off of this? Additionally, what are we looking at here?
No, thank you very much again. And I think Carissa mentioned quite a few of them, but let me start here to say in South Africa, for instance, within the CSR, we've done some work, the previous year. Just to give you a scale, what we are finding is that over the last 10 years, cyber attacks, for instance, have been increasing. And the main reason for that is because we are also getting better or increasing the adoption of digital infrastructure. For instance, about 47% of the organizations that we've engaged last year, they indicated that they're experiencing 1 to 5, cybersecurity incidents per year. So that's like 47%. So that's almost half of the organizations. But again, you're looking at some of the incidences that are being reported through the information regulator, because now we've got the Protection of Personal Information Act. We find that they report about 150 incidences a month. So now these are incidences that are reported, 150 per month, which is quite staggering, compared to maybe what we have seen in the past. And then, of course, in South Africa, it's a sort of like the good and bad kind of situation, because we require the digital infrastructure, particularly because there's not enough resources, as we have explained. So not everybody can set up their own data centers or their own cloud. So that provides, for example, maybe different entities to have this infrastructure so that we can serve people better. But that on its own brings a complex, cyber threat landscape. Of course, we were talking about the issues of data sovereignty, particularly in terms of privacy and the likes. We don't necessarily have a lot of cloud infrastructure on our own, but we have seen, obviously, many organizations like Microsoft and the others building data centers, but that still creates some challenges as well. But also what we maybe on the good side, what we see with regards to digital infrastructure is that the security aspect can then be consolidated, in a sense that other organizations, as we will speak, they don't necessarily have the resources in terms of the people, but also the capability and even the capacity to look after, the digital infrastructure. Hence, maybe adopting infrastructure to the cloud becomes much better. However, obviously the risks, just like they say, everything is good and bad, and the risk of some of these digital infrastructures are huge. And as we have seen with the increase in the number of attacks, because number one, organizations don't have the necessary technical skills to protect, these systems, but also because some people, when they adopt some of this digital infrastructure, such as the cloud, they then assume, that the cloud provider must take care of the security. But you can't really relegate, or delegate security. So the issues of accountability tends to be a problem. And security is about that, it's about managing the risks. But of course, the issues of regulatory compliance, and the likes, and I think we also have to put it upfront that there's no 100% necessary solution, but the cloud is good. But organizations, countries such as ours, they still need to ensure that they're in the thick of things and do all the right things to ensure that they are not compromised.
Thank you, Jabu. And I think quite a few points that you raised there, also specifically regarding challenges for large organizations and these sort of mixed architectures and infrastructure, etc. So, at this point, I'd like to ask Sanjeev about AI, but you're also a specialist in critical infrastructure protection. So probably we'll come back to that in a separate question. But if you have a look at AI and machine learning, and the not very gradual introduction into cybersecurity, I mean, they're there. I think the jury's still out on how useful AI currently is in a cyber defense type of role. But having a look at it, how has the industry been impacted by this type of technology? What is AI changing in your view?
Right. Thank you so much, Noel. And it is not just AI. I think there are a large number of technologies which are transforming what cybersecurity is today. May it be blockchain, may it be cloud, may it be quantum But yes, AI and ML have impacted cybersecurity in a big way, and they have changed the way cybersecurity is. If I speak traditionally, what was cybersecurity? Cybersecurity was more of preventing your networks from coming under attack. But today, with technology changing so fast and such, technologies like AI coming in, cybersecurity is no more just preventive. It has become more offensive in nature. And besides prevention, I think there is cyber deception today talked about. There is detection, and there is response to an attack. So the entire package of cybersecurity today has become deception, prevention, deception, detection, and response. And then only cybersecurity becomes holistic. Now, if I look at these four aspects of cybersecurity, there is each one of them which gets impacted by artificial intelligence and machine learning. But before that, let me tell you something very interesting. It was these bad state actors or hackers who started the use of artificial intelligence in cyberspace, and not the people who are trying to defend the networks. And there are a large number of malicious actors who are leveraging AI and ML in launching attacks which are extremely sophisticated, be it be AI enhanced evasion techniques. There are today polymorphic malwares that are available, which changes its forms as when once it gets into the network, so that it can avoid detection. Black Mamba was perhaps one of those malwares which was found to be a polymorphic malware. Then there is automated vulnerability exploitation, which they are using. AI powered social engineering. Gone are those days when social engineering was making a phone call or sending a phishing email. No, today phishing emails you cannot detect because they are engineered using AI, using deep fakes and stuff like that. And then there is adaptive malware. So the bad state actors are using artificial intelligence and machine learning in a big manner, and it is time we people in the industry who are tasked with securing the network, securing the endpoints, use this technology, which is a very powerful technology, to leverage towards our own advantage. Now let me give you some examples how AI is being leveraged. Let us, for example, take user behavior analytics. It is a very important part of cybersecurity, where you are trying to find out who are those malicious insiders who can be harmful for your network, for your security. And it is one of the most difficult tasks is insider threat in a network. And it is here where AI comes in. It carries out a detailed behavior analytics of each user of the network. And every time there is deviation from my regular behavior on the network, it raises a flag that this could be a potential threat. So humanly, this is impossible. A network generates millions of logs on a daily basis, and humanly, it is impossible to analyze these logs to find out where the issue is, where the problem could be, who's the one who's trying to do this. And this is where AI and ML chip in a big manner. And today there are large number of tools available to carry out the behavior analysis of the users of a network. Somebody mentioned ransomware. If I look at the global cyber landscape, ransomware perhaps will appear right on top. It is getting deadlier by day. It is getting more and more dangerous by day. It is getting more and more difficult to detect a ransomware. Each ransomware changes its forms and versions so much that we as cybersecurity professionals often tend to lose track of it. Now, AI can help you really fight this menace of ransomware. Let me give you an example. Now, in 2024, there is this leading bank, legal firm in the US which came under a ransomware attack. They had installed a tool to detect their ransomware attack. How does it detect? The ML detects ransomware encryption behaviors, which a human mind cannot. So machine learning detected that what is the kind of these inputs which are coming are actually encrypted using codes which could perhaps be a ransomware code. And this company, which used a tool called CryptoGuard, was able to prevent a ransomware attack across the entire network. Two, when a ransomware attack actually may have happened, AI and ML tool can segregate that infected part of your network. So there is tremendous amount of use of AI. Another example could perhaps be, where these prevention of implementation of a zero trust architecture. There again, whether it is say SIEM or SOAR, you are using tools which are using AI. So today, if you are a person who is looking for a job in the cybersecurity industry, you need to learn on one hand traditional cybersecurity tools, things like Python and Linux, and on the other hand, you need to understand how AI works, how AI is impacting the cybersecurity, and what are those tools which are today being used, whether it is a SOC or whether it is an XDR. There is AI everywhere today.
Thank you. Thank you, Sanjeev. Carissa, if I can ask you, and I think one of the interesting things that came up there when you spoke about the reduction in ransomware attacks, and Sanjeev has spoken about deception, is I think, and I don't know if I'm right, but I'd like you to actually comment on this, and then I've actually got another question for you. But do you think that phishing has just become so effective and becoming more and more effective with the power of, well, let's put it social engineering, using now the power of AI, deepfakes, all that type of thing? Do you think that's going to become the number one threat vector? I don't know.
So phishing is still definitely the number one threat vector we're seeing, Noel. I mean, across the globe, it's still the number one way to get into an organization. The comment I made around ransomware is really because if you look at what's happened with technology over the last few years, technology has gotten better at understanding the behavior of ransomware. So we understand what encryption looks like, and we're able to disrupt encryption using technology. Now, because we can disrupt encryption using technology, these attackers, their main aim is to make sure they can encrypt or steal data and then hold it ransom. And if they can't get to the stage where they can encrypt or steal data, then we are able to disrupt that entire chain. So that's why we've seen a 3 times drop in ransomware over the last year. But very interestingly, we've also seen a 2.75 increase in human operated ransomware. And this is not something that is just sent out there and you have the best hopes that it'll work. It's not something that's completely automated or completely reliant on AI. It is something that still has a human behind it that is determining where to go next. And that's why I think there's a big need for AI and AI capabilities, both in defense as well as in attackers are using it. But the human element is still absolutely critical. You can't get away from that. And we've seen that 92% of successful ransomware attacks, where it actually got to encryption stage or actually got to stealing data, was from devices that didn't have good security technology on it. So problem is solvable, but we need to be able to put the right tools, the right people, the right capabilities, yes, and AI, but the right skills as well at the problem to be able to solve it.
Thank you for that. And when you talk about machines that didn't have the right sort of, do you see that defenses are just still too porous, that there's always just too many porosity is an ongoing problem where you can have 90% of stuff quite nicely sorted out, but it's that 10% that's not nicely taken care of, or not paying down your technical debt, legacy things. Is that still a huge problem?
Definitely is. What's also a problem is how interconnected everyone is. So you can really secure your own environment, secure your own boundary, but you're using suppliers, you're using third parties, you're using other companies that have their own capabilities as well. And so I think really the solution is to be able to uplift everyone. yourself, as well as your partners, as well as the people you deal with, as well as your customers, your users, to be able to uplift everyone so that we've got a basis that is a strong basis that makes it harder for an attacker to penetrate. Because attackers will go wherever the weakest link is. If the entry point is, one of your third party or your fourth party that's doing some work for you, where you've outsourced some of your work and, maybe you've got development done in a team somewhere else, that's where they'll go first as an entryway into the organization.
Thank you, Carissa. So much to talk about here, and I'm already watching the time and thinking, gee, one could go on for hours, Jabu. Let's talk a little bit about quantum technology, and your view at this point in terms of where are we going with quantum? I know you've got organizations that are already testing quantum resistant algorithms, etc. Does a country need, as a state, should we be moving away from things like, because we bang on a lot about the national cyber strategy, and I mean regionally, this is an issue, national cyber strategies, and be really looking more at national technology strategies in which we've got cyber, but we've got other integrated technologies or things we need to consider like quantum. Are we paying enough attention to that type of threat down the road?
Maybe to answer the question, I would say no, we are not. But again, maybe Africa is a little bit different compared maybe to developed countries, particularly when it comes to these issues of cybersecurity, let alone, quantum aspects. We are still lagging quite a lot behind just on simple aspects such as just awareness and training. You spoke just now about just the lack of the national cybersecurity strategy, which I think those are fundamentals, and they are foundational, because we may talk about AI and the likes, but if you don't have the basics, you then tend to introduce also a lot of vulnerabilities into the system. However, having said that, I think it's also very critical for us, in order not to be left behind, to do some of these things in parallel. And I know there's obviously, we spoke about this earlier, the issue of limited resources. We don't have enough money, particularly in the state, to fund all some of these initiatives. And with quantum crypto, we require quite some very sophisticated and huge infrastructure, digital infrastructure. We need that. So it's just that balancing act. But I think, one of the most important basic principles I normally subscribe in cybersecurity is that you have to do the basics right. If you do the basics right, you ensure that you minimize the risk as much as possible in whatever you do, and you can then start to slowly build some of these capabilities. Because 100%, when we think about quantum crypto and quantum computing in general, in the near future, the criminals, actually not even in the near future, I think they're already doing it. They would be using it against us, and if we don't have the necessary capacity or the necessary infrastructure to defend against it, it's going to be a particular challenge. But of course, I think we are in an arms race. We are sort of caught between a rock and a hard place in terms of saying, do we do the advanced things first before we do the basics? And I think that's where we are caught. Earlier on, I spoke about the issues just of the digital infrastructure, having just the cloud computing infrastructure. Most of that is still, for example, set up or installed in our environment by big corporations, mostly who are, let's say, like Microsoft and others, Amazon, but we don't necessarily have our own. And I think that's also one of the other things we need to think about, to say, when do we start investing in those? Because ultimately, security is about who owns what. If you don't own the digital infrastructure, it's very difficult to protect yourself fully. But maybe to give some positivity, and I think within maybe the research and development component, it's also important for us to keep up, particularly when it comes to these new emerging techs, and ensure that, for example, at universities, because there we are not necessarily handled by a lot of legislation and stuff like that. We need to start investing, even if we do it in the small scale, start bringing these skills even in such courses, because the issue of skills, in terms of dealing or even managing some of this infrastructure is also an issue. So yeah, it's a bit of a difficult one, but I think we can always think about ways in terms of how do we get it right.
I think you've made so many important points there. One about identifying your capacities and your capabilities, and where do you need to put additional resources going forward, but also on the skills. And I think these are probably for a lot of also these types of discussions for the students that are sitting in this meeting, if we can focus on the skills for a little while. And Sanjeev, I mean, coming from India, obviously India having vastly different type of background when it comes to digital skill sets than perhaps Africa. I mean, when I think of India, I literally think of legions of excellent software engineers. So I think what India and Southern Africa's experiences are a bit different. But having said that, India is a leading global South nation. And, what I want to ask you is, to your mind, what types of special skills going forward do you think young cybersecurity workers would have to have? And, following up on that, are we looking at a situation here where AI is potentially going to start cutting the jobs of data analysts and cybersecurity specialists? What are we looking at here?
All right. Yes, India is different. Surely, we are a nation of 1.5 billion people, which perhaps is more than the total population of the entire continent of Africa. We have about 800 million plus internet users in India, and you can imagine we are amongst the top five nations, most attacked nations in the globe. So yes, we are facing tremendous amount of challenges, and despite being a hub for software industry and cybersecurity. Yet India, as per the government data, we still are about 500,000 short in the cybersecurity industry. Be that as it may. There are certain special skills surely needed, and when you are coming into cybersecurity industry and this technology is making so much of impact on that industry. Now, to break into cybersecurity with AI expertise, you need a mix of AI ML fundamentals on one side. You need knowledge of programming languages. You need knowledge of security. So a large number of times when I meet these professionals who are trying to get into cybersecurity industry, they do not have fundamental knowledge of security. And most importantly, you need hands-on experience with both AI and cybersecurity tools. Now, let's take, for example, machine learning and AI fundamentals. What do you need to know? You need to understand how the natural language programming works, because you will have to, when you're writing a code in Python, you will have to integrate with your NLP to get on a hands-on into phishing detection, perhaps dark web monitoring. Most dark web crawlers, which are AI based today, use Python codes and mixed with the NLP. You will have to know supervised and unsupervised learning of AI. You will have to understand what is deep learning is. So there is tremendous amount of AI itself. First of all, is a knowledge which is not expertise of which is not available globally. But yes, you will have to kind of learn through whoever is available in your country to be an expert. Then coming to programming languages, of course, Python is a must for any professional in cybersecurity. A large number of people also specialize in Linux. Then there is SQL and NoSQL database. Then there is TensorFlow and PyTorch. So there are large number of programming languages which you will have to learn along with AI to be a cybersecurity professional. And then there are certain techniques which you understand, which I said that they lack the security bent of mind. So you have to learn about threat detection and response. You have to learn about behavioral analytics. You have to learn about security orchestration, automation and response, predictive analytics. So So look at the kind of things, diverse things a cybersecurity professional today has to learn. It is not just that you read cybersecurity and lo and behold, I'm an expert. I can do well in this industry. No, at my age and with my experience, I today am learning new things on a daily basis. So there is tremendous amount of learning that has to go into a cybersecurity professional.
Yes, it's actually quite an interesting point that you make there, Sanjeev, and that is this, you know, you're never done in cybersecurity. It's not even that there's always something new to learn. It's there's so many different new things to learn all the time that you've got to actually make some difficult trade-offs and, super specialized, I think, going forward to sort of, be meaningful in your role as you can become more and more senior. But even as a junior, you're constantly learning. There's always new courses to do. And I think those skills that, people expect you to have the full set of skills and soft skills to go with that, like understand things like project management. And find increasingly I hear tech leaders grumble about cybersecurity juniors coming in who don't have that fundamental understanding of the underlying infrastructure. So they've just started with cybersecurity certifications, but you start talking to them about network infrastructure, they don't know what you're talking about. So, we just all need to know more and more and more. And, I think, Carissa, so what I've been wanting to ask you is the question actually about, the one thing we haven't really talked about is our blended technology environments where we're bringing together for IT estates that have OT, IoT, and, securing these now much more complex types of cybersecurity estates, if I can call it that way. Difficult to train for. I think that those are quite specialized skill sets. How much of that do you see? What is the demand there? What is your sense in terms of skill sets required for that? And does it, is there a big demand? Do you see growing demand for the integrated technology specialists, cybersecurity specialists?
Now, you made such a great point about having a background in something and then understanding cybersecurity. You use the example of understanding networks and then getting into cybersecurity and being able to do it. And I love that concept, and I really encourage people, no matter which sector you're from, which industry you're from, cybersecurity is so diverse. I mean, we've got I know of people that were lawyers that are now in cybersecurity. I know of people that were in marketing that are now in cybersecurity. And the reason this is possible is because cybersecurity touches every aspect of a business, every aspect of technology, every aspect and every component that you can think of operations. So whether it's an OT environment, whether it's an IT environment, whether it's a front shop somewhere, whether it's a bank teller, whether it's a HR process, whether it's a legal process or contract process, all of these processes have cyber elements to them. So I think the biggest thing is, so definitely there's a demand for skills diversification, not just your vanilla out of the box, cybersecurity practitioner that's done basic skills. That richness and background is so important. That's why I love SANCS actually, because it opens up that window of skills to get people from diverse industries, diverse backgrounds, that have studied diverse things into cybersecurity. What I would say to the students is, don't be afraid of it. No matter what you've studied, no matter what your background is, there's a place for you in cybersecurity. You just have to find it. And I'm hoping that this course will give you some insights to be able to find which aspect really interests you. And then you can, like Noel says, focus there, specialize there. And I'm not going to kid you around. There's going to be hard work. There's definitely going to be hard work. It's not an easy thing to crack. It's not an easy thing to get into. But your skills and your background can definitely be used in cybersecurity. So I think it's so super important to get that diversity in. And there's no unicorns, Noel. There's no unicorns. There's no one that's done it all and been everywhere and sort of knows every answer. All of us are learning, no matter how long we've been in the field. So, even for the students that are sitting out there, don't feel intimidated by people that you perceive to know more than you. I'm sure you guys know much more than I do in many things, and I can learn from you. So I think just take that step, grab it with both hands. There's a lot of opportunity. Use your background to pivot you in, no matter what your background is.
I think some real nuggets, gold nuggets there from you today, Carissa. And I'm sure the students they're cooking now. I think the questions are going to start building up. I'm going to ask Jabu for one input, and then we're going to be opening the floor to the students for questions. So Jabu, mine builds again on what Carissa and Sanjeev have been saying, and that is, if we look at the current skills gap in the cybersecurity sector in South Africa, how well are we adapting cybersecurity training, development programs, cybersecurity education, even at universities, etc. But to meet that demand, but also, do we pay enough attention in program building and curriculum building to issues like problem solving, critical thinking skills, ethics, the types of the professional development side of cybersecurity rather than just the technical side? You know, how should we be having a national conversation around this? Are we doing enough to kind of bring this all together and produce cybersecurity specialists?
Yeah, so you are asking me very difficult questions. People will think I'm negative. So let me say maybe let's look maybe 10 years or 15 years or so ago. I think we have moved. We are doing much better. Let me start there. And I think initiatives such as these ones and what we see other institutions doing, whether it's in the private or the public sector, there's definitely an effort. There's definitely a lot of initiatives in trying to build up these skills. However, sometimes we tend to then focus either too much on the cybersecurity awareness and training, or focus generally on just technical skills, teaching people, for example, how to hack and the likes. But I think even the MP did mention the cybersecurity is more than just a technical issue, right? It's more than a technical issue. It requires a lot of critical thinking, and that's why it's very, very important, whether it's universities, whether it's in this specific course, critical thinking is important. And why is that important? Is because I think we have also highlighted, and I think Sanjeev highlighted as well, cybersecurity is a dynamic domain, right? Things change, just like that. Today you are learning about new vulnerabilities where there may not even be tools or patches, to cover them. Hence, you don't need people who are just only friends of using tools without trying to come up with how do we solve problems? So problem solving is very, very important. But also, as we have highlighted, are we really designing these courses properly? And I think ultimately it's about where do we start? Because obviously at this stage where we are at, we might even say it's a little bit too late to be teaching about cybersecurity at this stage, because we need to start it right there, for example, in our case at the school level, and put all of these other necessary elements. Because if you go, for instance, in the US or in Russia or all these big countries, they are working with thousands and 40,000, for example, in the cyber command in the US. That's how they deal with. But once we get at that level, you must now be able to deal with these various aspects. And I think the other important thing when we talk about this training is the issue of culture. They normally say culture will eat your strategy, for breakfast. And why? Is because we can teach people as much as we want, but if the culture of security is not in them, they will tend to miss various other things. That is why if you can ask a question to the students, and I'm sure many of them can tell you, some of them have fallen prey to scams, some of them have fallen prey to even cybersecurity breaches. Why? Because many people think this is just a technological issue. It only impacts on people maybe with money or people who are using technology. But I think Carissa did mention earlier, it does not discriminate. Cybersecurity is a cross-cutting thing. It impacts on everyone. So yeah, and there are various platforms, and I think this is a good one. Let me not add some more just to save time. Thank you.
Thank you, Jabu. Yeah, your point about actually starting much younger as well is such a good one. We sit with a program called Life Skills that I think everyone has to do. And I do think it's probably in dire need of a radical overhaul. And it's a perfect vehicle actually to teach digital skills through. Life orientation. Hello. So, there's so much we can actually work with that's already out there. It's just not optimized, I often think. And we see this potentially it's quite a lack of alignment between various policy making initiatives, etc., which, if corrected, could actually yield some positive benefits. So I'm just going to find out if I can take live questions, because I'd like to, and I see there's Nyemba's waiting. But I've got a question here from Fabian Daniels for you, all three of you. How did the members of the panel get started in cybersecurity? So if you could perhaps start each by just giving the students an idea of how you got into cybersecurity. I think that's a story everyone would like to hear. And then I see two people with their hands up, Nyemba and Kuna. So I'm going to come back to you. So Carissa, perhaps you'd like to start. Ladies first. How did you get into cybersecurity?
Kicking and screaming. Now I wanted to become it was an interesting path. I thought I was going to study medicine. Decided I don't like touching sick people, so I'd rather touch sick computers. And that's kind of how the journey started. But it was pure luck. So also don't overlook something that someone puts in your path. You never know where that may land you. So yeah, I came straight out of university. I was aiming to be a software engineer. Got hired by the head of cyber defense in a business, and I've never looked back. 21 years in cybersecurity.
Wow, that's an interesting story. Sanjeev.
Well, I was an engineer who was taking care of telecommunications primarily, and then suddenly some data networks came in, and I was told to take care of those networks. And one fine day, I was told that, look here, our networks are going down very regularly, and I think there is some Trojan or a worm that has impacted it. I had no clue what that meant. So I decided to qualify myself. I initially remember I went and did a course called Certification in Ethical Hacking, which taught me the fundamentals of cybersecurity. That was like many, many years back. And then I came back, I thought I had all the knowledge about it, but eventually that knowledge was too short and too little. So at each stage of my career, while I was still in the armed forces and when I came out to the industry, I had to, upgrade my knowledge. What started with a basic fundamental course on ethical hacking, today, I think I even learned when to learn the legal aspects of it, the regulation aspects of it. So I had to qualify myself with what the law says in India as well as globally, and things of that sort. So I think the initiation happened. Uh, it was just a trigger that was given, and thereafter interest and a large number of qualifications, perhaps.
Thank you, Sanjeev. Javed?
So with me, security chose me. I didn't choose it. Actually, I was very terrible when I started university. I was meant to do accounting or business. So unfortunately, when I applied at varsity, it was full, so I didn't have space there. And I met Professor Elmar Birman at the time, and actually she gave me an opportunity to do computer science. I didn't know even how to use a computer by that time because I was more into business and accounting. And so that's actually started everything. I never knew anything about it until I started even teaching and doing my PhD on it, and I've never looked back. And again, as I was saying, it's all about being passionate, how to solve problems, because that's what I was passionate about. And I think cybersecurity has given me plenty opportunities that I would never had. I've traveled the world through just doing the work that I was not supposed to do. Probably if I was an accountant, I would be broke somewhere now.
It's amazing because as you say, Javed, cybersecurity actually chose every one of you. Same for me. I graduated with an honours in history from university. I worked at the military archives. Actually, archives and data privacy are not that different. Archiving, and worked in the Department of Defense for a long time. Did some IT certifications, but mainly to run student labs because I was working at the military academy and was working in military strategy. And then somebody said, we need someone to start teaching cybersecurity, or cyber warfare. You've got a funny mix of skills. Why don't you kind of give it a go? And I said, okay. So, that's how these things start up. So let's try and hear from the students in the audience. I'm not sure if you can unmute yourselves. Stephanie, perhaps you could just advise me here. Allow Mark, Nyemba, sorry, Shani and Yemba, I've allowed your microphone. So you should be able to unmute yourself now and ask your question. And you can just, you'll need to unmute yourself. So please say who you asking the question to. I have allowed the mic. I don't know, Stephanie.
Yeah, she has her mic is allowed, so she just has to unmute herself.
Okay, let's maybe try someone else. Amalukani and Kuna. It's
Good afternoon, everyone.
good afternoon.
Yes,
Please go
it's
ahead and
good
ask
to
your question.
be. Yes, it's good to be back on this platform. I was here last year. When I saw the advert that is coming back, I was so excited. But for me, I find it very, very, very difficult. I must say I'm not like Dr. Jabu who the cybersecurity chose him. For me, I'm chasing after it. It's not working to the point where I'm doing my PhD in computer science. Did certifications. I'm currently working as a senior ICT consultant, but I feel like I need to be in the cyberspace. I don't know what else can I do because I've tried everything, applying, it's really not working. So I don't know if there's someone who can maybe give me an advice that, okay, you need to approach it in this way. You need to do this way. I've published articles, journal articles, academic articles, but clearly it's not following me. Or maybe I haven't arrived to the right place.
Amalukani, of our panelists, who would like to tackle this? And I think this is a fairly typical situation where somebody believes if I go and I study this, we know there's a shortage of people. This is where I'm going to get my break. It's that first missing step on the ladder that I keep talking about.
Okay, so how it typically works in the industry is that first of all, cybersecurity industry is a place for very young people. I mean, you will typically find the average age in cybersecurity industry would be around 25 years. Because there are a large number of people who come from the technology background into cybersecurity industry, whether computer science or whether it is IT or whatever. Now, how one needs to approach a job is perhaps you should. I really don't know how it works in Africa, but in India it works like this: that you need to go in for a job internship where you get to learn the practical aspects of cybersecurity. I hire a large number of cybersecurity professionals, and believe you in me, when I interview these people, they have excellent qualification on paper, but they are not industry ready. So you have to get yourself industry ready, and that is the most important aspect. And how do you get in industry ready is by hands-on training. So offer yourself for an internship if that happens in your country. Learn how actually it happens on ground. And I don't think then today world is extremely short of cybersecurity professionals. The state is like that if I stand on a crossroad and I start shouting I'm a cybersecurity professional, there'll be 5 companies will come and pick me up. It is that bad. So all you need to do is that you need to have the right skill, develop the right skills, learn the right skills, and internship perhaps is one of the options for that.
Thank you, Sanjeev. Clarissa, you look like you want to say something.
Something. I think if you are applying for jobs, there's a couple of things that I see candidates do that really don't work. So the first one is they use a blanket CV for every role they apply for. It's a really simple mistake, but because cyber roles are so diverse, if you're hiring someone in cybersecurity awareness or a security operations center, the skills are completely different. So if you really highlight in your CV how you fit the role, just take another couple of minutes just to tweak and highlight in your CV how you fit the role. I always tell people to do that. The second thing I tell people to do is please network. You need to be able to get a good network. You need to be able to get people to sponsor you in the industry. You need to get your brand understood. If you're looking for a corporate role, make sure that there's a lot of communities out there. I mean, WESIS is one of them, Women in Cybersecurity is one of them. And we often have women posting roles and, helping each other, etc. So I think there's a big community. There's a lot lot of people that want to help, but you have to take the initiative to be able to go and get the networking done. It's so, so critical.
Thank you, Carissa. Yeah, and I'll add one thing to that as well. Is what's quite important on LinkedIn is use LinkedIn as actually a reconnaissance. Now, my military background coming up, you need to recce what's going on out there. So watch job postings, understand what employers are looking for, and get an understanding with each of those job postings what skills they align with that specific element of cybersecurity and the way that they speak. You need to try and get inside their heads and understand the way they see the world and what they're looking for. And you will start getting a much better idea of if I want to go into this field of cybersecurity, I should have this. For entry-level general jobs, I should have that. But I also must stress, as Carissa said, if you want to stand out in the recruitment office, who the recruitment officer is sitting with thousands of CVs on his or her desk, make sure your CV looks good. Keep it relatively brief. I think put the highlights in there and say, I can send in more details. Take the trouble to write a cover letter and show that you've looked at this organization and why you think you're a good fit for that job. Stand out from the crowd. I think that's quite important. Takunda Magugu, you're up next. You can go ahead and ask your question. See if I've allowed your microphone. You can unmute and ask your question, please, Takunda. Okay, we've got a lot of people queued up here to ask questions. There we go. If you go, Takunda, I can see you can go.
Okay, I just had some network trouble, but I'm grateful to have this opportunity to ask my question. So, am I audible?
Yes, you are. Perfect.
Okay. So I'm currently a computer science student, and I recently took some time to find out more about the field of cybersecurity, and I realized that something that really speaks to me, and I want to work towards finding myself in that field and actually doing something impactful. So I just have one question, and this is open to any of you who would want to answer. What's the one thing that you would have wished you had known at the very beginning of your journey into cybersecurity? Because I'm curious, you have foresight, you have greater understanding of the entire landscape. It's a wealth of knowledge across all of you. So I'm really excited to have this opportunity, and it can even be a simple word. I just really want to know, what is it that you would have wished you had known at the beginning of your journey?
Okay, fire away. Okay, and you, in the same order, Carissa, Javi, Sanjeev. If you go.
So there are, when I started in the cybersecurity industry, it was still at a very nascent stage. Yet I was always very intrigued by how a hacker's mind works and what does a hacker think, because that is the only way I can actually counter what he's trying to do. So I was always very, very intrigued by the way hackers work, and you will not believe me that at one stage I joined a hackers forum, and I used to be chatting with these people so to get to know them better, because the more, like it is said by the famous Chinese scholar who said, you have to know your enemy, and your half your job is done. So
Indeed.
that is one thing at the beginning of my career in cybersecurity, I always was very intrigued how a hacker thinks.
Thank you, Sanjeev.
Right.
Carissa?
So when I started off in cyber, I knew nothing. I mean, I was straight out of university. I thought I knew a lot, but I actually knew nothing. And I kept comparing myself to everyone else that had been in the field for a lot more years than I have. And the one thing I wish I had done then that I do now is I compare myself to myself 6 months ago instead of comparing myself to somebody else in the industry that's been here for 10 years or had different experiences. Now, maybe not even years, but just have had different experiences. I think cyber is so broad, technology is so broad, you have to keep bettering yourself, compete with yourself. Don't look at the people that have had different exposures, different experiences. Look at yourself 6 months ago. And if you can say, well, wow, I've learned a lot in 6 months, then you're doing a good job. And I think that's the advice I would have given myself back then.
Thank you, Carissa. Javed?
Yeah, so for me, I think the simplest thing I wish I knew was that cybersecurity is not what you see in the movies, where people press a button and things just happen. It's a very complicated space. And you, as Carissa was saying, you always have to be sharp. What you may know yesterday, today may not count. So you must always be a good reader. You must understand, because every day there's vulnerabilities. So yeah, that's what I would say.
Thank you, Jafu. I wanted to ask a question about hoodies and pizza boxes, but you nailed it, yeah. So our next question is from Amakle and Damasi. You can unmute your mic and ask your question, please. And then followed by Amakle Hope Dlamini.
Hi, ma'am. Hi, everyone.
Hi,
Can you
Amakle.
hear me?
Yes, we can.
This question is based on women who are in this industry. So I want to know, how do women in cybersecurity navigate the men-dominated industry, and what challenges do they face, and how can they overcome them?
I think I'm going to let Carissa take that one, seeing as how she's the head of cybersecurity women for Southern Africa, Women for Cybersecurity.
No. So I think, the global workforce from a female perspective is 25% female in cybersecurity at this point in time. So we still have a lot to do to improve that diversity. But what I will say is where we came from was closer to 0%. So we've actually improved a lot over the last few years. And if you think about why that dynamic exists, technology as a whole was a very male-dominated industry. And we come from a space where, we have a history of being male-dominated, but diversity is becoming increasingly important. So what I would say is the doors are open. I think there's so many companies that are looking to attract female talent into their talent pool. So the doors are really open for females to take up these opportunities. It's about being ready to take up these opportunities and putting yourself out there. And I think there's always this concept that women are a bit shy to put themselves out there, or feel that they need to be like 110% of the capabilities before they put themselves out there. And I really encourage all the ladies on the call to really think about, how do you put yourself out there and still learn? Put yourself out there, put your hand up, just try. And there'll be a lot of people to support you along the journey. I'm not going to say it's going to be 100% easy. I still face challenges, but they are fewer and far apart. So what I would say is that the industry is becoming, a lot more diverse and a lot more easier to operate in. Oh,
You're muted.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I said thank you, Carissa. My next question is Hope Dlamini. Hope you can unmute yourself. There we go.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for acknowledging me. My name is Hope Dlamini. So I have two questions. The first one is that, as someone who does not come from a more technical computer science or programming background, but rather from a international relations background, how would you say is the best way for one to transition and go into the field of cybersecurity? Particularly for myself, I'm more interested in the integration of cybersecurity within cyber diplomacy. So that's my first question. And then my second question would be, I would like to just have a glimpse into just how does a single day in the life of a cybersecurity expert look like? Just a brief one, just to kind of understand what are your day-to-day basics, what are the things that you deal with on a day-to-day basis, but also just to kind of get more into detail in terms of what are the key skills or programming languages that you guys use on a day-to-day basis. Thank you so much.
So I hope I'm going to answer the first half of your question, and then I'm going to refer the second question to our panel. With regard to the question of saying from an international relations background, yeah, so there's a whole field of cybersecurity called cyber policy. obviously cyber diplomacy. So you're really looking a lot more towards the public sector for those types of roles, possibly also an academic role at a university to teach on those roles. There's a lot of opportunity overseas. So I think, ideally speaking, in such a specialized area, you'd be looking to perhaps do your master's degree somewhere overseas. There's usually actually quite good funding for it, scholarship funding, etc. So those roles are definitely out there. They're obviously much fewer and far between than normal cybersecurity roles, but there is a cohort of people who work in that line, and I think technology threats, etc. So what you really want to do on LinkedIn is start burrowing into the organizations that work with all of these types of things, anything from the United Nations Institute for Disarmament Research to the Cyber Peace Institute. There's loads, and start following your thought leaders in this area. Put out one or two good articles. There are people working in the space in South Africa, so good luck. You just keep doing what you're doing. The second one is, who would like to do this? Jabu, the role of a cybersecurity professional in Southern Africa. A day in the life. Oh, sorry, Sanjeev.
Yeah, so I will tell you how my day looked like when I was the chief info security officer. Before that, I must tell you that I'm working, in fact, on 2 cyber diplomacy projects, and most of the people I deal with are from international relation, because diplomacy and international relation go hand in hand. So you don't have to worry. I'm sure you will get a wonderful job. Now, coming back to how a day looks like, well, for a day never ends for us cybersecurity professionals, because the hackers never sleep. They work by night while you're trying to sleep. I would get up in the morning, and my first job would be to find out what are the new kind of threats that have come up in the last 6 or 8 hours that I have slept. What are the vulnerabilities that have got exposed? Have there been zero-day attacks in the last 6 to 8 hours? Then check who are my clients who may get impacted by these attacks. So I have to update, make a threat intelligence report and update them. Look for the patches for these vulnerabilities, or whether there is a patch available or not. Get in touch with the OEM and find out when are they releasing a patch. This is what has come. Go through the CVE list, then come to my office, go through the SOC logs. I mean, there is never a dull moment in a cybersecurity professional's life. You have your hands full. The most difficult part was when I was dealing with the CEO of the company and I was trying to justify why so much of money is being spent on cybersecurity. Yes, that was the most difficult part. But let me assure you, you have your hands full. Your team is always falling short of hands when you're dealing with these jobs. And that is where AI and ML play a tremendous role.
Thank you, Sanjeev. Okay, we've actually almost out of time, so I'm going to try and push harder. Jackie Letsalo, you can go ahead and ask your question, Jackie. Just unmute your mic.
Thank you very much, and good afternoon. Thank you very much for the wonderful discussion. One is learning a lot. My background, okay, I've just completed LLB last year, and then I'm doing a master's in cyber law at the University of Johannesburg. My question is directed to Dr. Jabu. Dr. Jabu, I'm in the legislature field, so I just realized recently when we went to do oversight in one of the companies that it seems like government it's relegating its duties to private companies in terms of that data management or data storage. So I just want to find out with you, is it in terms of private, what do you call privacy, data privacy? Is it the right way to go? Because it seems like when data mostly it's in the hands, that is a crucial data that is in the hands of the private companies. Then if there is something that is going to happen, then we're going to have a compromise in terms of the data for the government. And then also I want to refer you to the issue of the TASIMA. Also, we had the issue of TASIMA and RTMC that also was holding the government data. And lastly, there's a mushroom of cameras in residential areas. And then I just want to find out in terms of the law, because definitely that data is in the hands of the private companies. Is it something that it's allowed? Is it not compromising data security of the people of the country? Thank you very much.
Okay, so let me just be quick. Obviously, this is a very complex matter. It can take the whole day to address. But I think I did mention even in my opening remarks that security you can't relegate or delegate to any other party. Of course, because there are no resources, there's no skill, you could subcontract or use other service providers. That's perfectly fine. I think it's an international best practice. But the key thing is obviously for these entities to take full responsibility of their security, because when you are breached, you will hardly find the problem that is with the service provider. And then of course the issue of POPIA is there. We all know about it, but the enforcement of policies is or laws is just the big problem. And obviously that is also caused by the fact that we have limited number of people who can conduct oversights and stuff like that. I think in terms of collection, storage, and stuff like that, our laws are clear on what needs to happen on that. And when we collect, what type of data do we collect, where do we store it, and all that sort of stuff. I don't think we need to go through that. But all I can say is every organization, whether public or private, they have a responsibility for their own security. Obviously, they can use service providers to address some of these things, but the responsibility still lies with them.
Thank you. Thank you, Jabu. Mtokisize, you're up. And you've got the floor. Ask your question.
Hi. Thank you for the opportunity. All right. My name is Mtokisize Sinkala, and I'm a structural engineer by profession and looking into making a career change. So one of the issues I have is I'm not really certain what the future holds for cybersecurity. So one of the questions that I would like to ask is, what are the challenges that one would typically face when making a career change? That's the first question. And the second question is, how do you guys see cybersecurity evolving in the next 5 to 10 years? Those are my two questions. Thank you.
Carissa, I'm going to ask you to take this one.
Sure. So let me start with how I see cybersecurity evolving. Is there always going to be a demand for cyber experts? Yes. I think Sanjeev said, people have this fear that AI is going to come and take over jobs. That's not going to happen. We're always going to need great cyber experts to use technology safely. And that technology could be AI, it could be anything. So the demand for cyber practitioners is going to grow, specifically in Africa. As we increase digitization, the demand for skilled labor to be able to secure those environments, to be able to protect those organizations, those governments, is going to grow. The challenge is what you're talking about, making the pivot from your current career to a cybersecurity career. And the best advice I can give you is be hungry. Be really, really hungry and be really, really curious. I think if you can learn as much as you can, adapt your skills in a way that's going to make you very applicable to where cybersecurity is going with regards to automation, AI, deceptive capabilities. All of that is very topical at the moment. Quantum cryptography, all of that very topical at the moment. There's so much of scope. But you have to be hungry and you have to be willing to put in the hard work. And I think that's where a lot of people get a disillusion. They try, they start, they realize it's hard, and then they stop. And I really encourage all of you to have some grit, have some commitment, don't give up, put in the effort. It's really worth it.
Thank you, Carissa. Guys, there's a lot of hands up, so I'm going to ration you to one question per person going forward, just so we can try and get to as many people as possible. Erastus Katanga, you're up. You can just unmute your mic. After Erastus, it's Michael. I think Michael Birch. Erastus, you there? Yep.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to ask my question. Firstly, great insights shared during the panel discussion. It was very insightful, even though certain topics that were discussed were a bit overwhelming. So a question I would like to ask is that I want to get into cybersecurity as a self-taught person. I do have a degree, diploma in business information system. I've been intrigued into cyber because of the recent cyber attacks.
Sorry, Rastus, there's some issue there. Will you just unmute your mic again, please?
Can you hear me now?
Sorry. Yes, sorry.
Yes. So after this two ransom attacks happened at this two telecommunications company, I've been intrigued into looking into cybersecurity. So when I did want to get into it, there's just so much that cybersecurity involves, and I do not know where to start, and it gets a bit overwhelming. And as Mr. Sanjeev mentioned, that hackers don't sleep, and there's vulnerabilities or ransom attacks happening almost every day. So what encouragement would you give or what would you recommend when it comes to getting into cybersecurity as a self-taught person?
Okay, so let me answer that. First of all, now let's go across and see who are these people who are attacking. Most of them are uneducated. They go buy tools on the dark web and they become hackers. They're script kiddies. They buy scripts. They're all novice hackers. Yet look at the ways the rate at which cybercrime or cyber attacks are going increasing in the world. So a self-taught person, first of all, there is no embargo that a self-taught person cannot come in the cybersecurity industry. As long as you have the right bend of mind and you have the right bend towards security. So you need to understand security. Cyber will come automatically. You can learn these languages. Finally, there is nothing great in learning a few tools or learning one odd programming language. There's nothing great in it. We make it sound as if it is too big. No, it is not. It is fundamental. You need the fundamental knowledge of these things, but you have to have the right bend of mind and you need to understand security. So self-taught personnel in my career, I have seen enough self-taught people who were, there was a graduate who was from English honors, who had done his graduation in English language. I mean, I thought that how can somebody who has studied Shakespeare can learn about cybersecurity? He was amongst one of my best employees. So there is no issue. You need to have the right bend of mind for it.
Thank you, Sanjeev. I think we've got time for one more question, then I'd like to wrap the panel up and thank our panelists. Michael Birch, you're on. Jabu and Sweni, if you'll take this one, please. Michael.
Hazard, you there?
Yes, we are.
So my question is, what do you think the adoption currently is for well and proper built physical network inside of businesses? Because like I see, for instance, you can approach a business these days and they will hand out like the Wi-Fi password, and then you have a look with just a simple network scan and you see all the company's sensitive hardware and stuff like that just lying openly. What do you think the current adoption in the country is right now to proper understanding on network hardware and the proper management of networks inside of businesses?
Yeah, so maybe I can take this one quickly.
Sorry. Yeah. Thanks, Trevor.
Yeah, so this is a common problem, that we see across, whether you are at the airport or you are in various government buildings and stuff like that. The main reason is that people think about security as an afterthought, so they don't practice secure by design. And generally, many of those configurations that are done, for example, to the network, some of them are done by just technicians, people who are not necessarily trained to be, secure by design in the head. And I think that's one of the main challenges. But as you have spoken, you are probably one of the smart guys because you can scan and see. And I think it's important, even within this particular community, that as we become, practitioners in the space, it's important for us to be ethical. When we find some of those vulnerabilities, we are testing them to report them, to those institutions. Obviously, ethical hacking, the ethics are very, very important. Instead of seeing passwords of people and then we start compromising them, it doesn't make us different from the criminals. So the ethics are very, very important because honestly speaking, many organizations do not practice cyber hygiene. Even using just passwords, they still use very, very basic ones or no passwords at all. So unfortunately, that's just the reality. But it's all about also creating that awareness and the culture, as I indicated earlier.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Msweni. And ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately, we'll never have enough time to answer all the questions, but we appreciate you attending to this panel, for being so enthusiastic and for asking your questions. And of course, we've got many, many, many hours to walk here going ahead in thanks, and you're still going to have many and many question and answer sessions. So hopefully you'll get a chance to ask your questions in the other sessions. Unfortunately, we have to close out the panel. I have to stress that our 3 industry experts that sat in today are extremely busy people. And we are so grateful for their time. And I'd like you to give them all a big round of appreciation and applause, please. Let's show our panelists some appreciation for their hard work today. I think it was an excellent panel. I think the students and I learned so much from you. So many insights. All I can say is actually it just flew by the hour and a half. It went so fast. So thank you so very, very much for giving up your time again to support SANCS. And I'd like to say a special thank you and goodbye as well to Carissa Varma. I'd like to wish you and your family a Ramadan Mubarak. It's a difficult time of year to sit in a panel all afternoon, so thank you very much, Carissa. And that goes, of course, for our students as well who are in the holy month of Ramadan. May you be blessed during this time. And with that, I'm going to close the panel and ask Michelle to come back, and Stephanie, and we will give you the instructions around the opening of the school. Thank you, panelists.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all, and thank you, Noel, for moderating this excellent panel. And I think I can already again introduce you a bit, because in the schedule we agreed that you would do the official launch of the school actually, and I'll take over after, explaining a little bit what to expect. So please go ahead.
Thank you, Michelle, and I'm going to keep it quite short and sweet. So yes, this is, of course, as everybody knows, the second Southern Africa Netherlands Cybersecurity School, brought to you by the Hague Centre for Strategic Studies and Stellenbosch University, the School for Data and Computational Sciences at Stellenbosch University, and underwritten and financially supported by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Kingdom of the Netherlands. So it's our pleasure to welcome all the students here. I think the session is important just in terms of establishing expectations. Very important that everyone understand that. We have prepared a lot of material, and it's available on the website. Michelle Rademacher is going to take you through exactly what and why, but there is a study guide for the school. And as you know, you will receive your invitations on Eventbrite. Always remember to check your junk mail if you're not seeing things that you're looking for, or that your mailbox didn't put them somewhere wrong. But what is the point of the school? The mission of the school is, in fact, to provide a platform for mid-career professionals, university students, graduates, to either upskill in cybersecurity and use it in their current careers and areas, or even make that decision down the line. You know what, I really enjoyed this and I want to build out a skill set and maybe transition to a cybersecurity career down the road. It's a window into cybersecurity, and where we bring you 20 top leading experts from around the world to come in and give you peek into all the different elements of cybersecurity, as Carissa was talking about earlier. Better than that, we've added the serious game, which Michelle is going to talk about. What you do need to know about this game is this is a world-class game that is played by top leaders worldwide. It's not open to the general public. You're getting a very special opportunity here to play a cyber strategy game. And then, of course, we've got our fabulous industry partners, Microsoft, DataGrade, Deloitte Africa Talent, Hunter and Hackett, who brought you the challenges. And you will select the challenge that appeals to you, and you'll be divided into a group. And then you guys are going to go out and smash it. And that challenge gives you a chance to start really practicing your newly found cybersecurity skills. We believe that you're going to come out on the other side of this, and you may decide you want to go into cybersecurity, and that's okay. It's part of everyone's life. We all need to know about it in our everyday jobs anyway. But you are going to come out transformed, and it's our pleasure to host you, and we hope that you have a wonderful time. Thank you. Michelle.
Thank you, Noel. Thank you. Yeah, well, so what to expect? Well, I think, Noel, you already alluded a bit to it. So we have, I think, all in all, 21 lecturers, in general, 1 hour, from all over the world, actually. And is this covering the full landscape of cyber? It does not. It does absolutely not. It's much broader than we can provide you with, even having 21 lectures. But what you can expect is the fact that basically by following these lectures, you get an understanding of how big the envelope of cybersecurity is. Because we will talk on the one hand on quantum computing and cyber, on AI, but also on governance. What does it all take? A bit on accountability. And so it's not all technical stuff that you get, but it's very important to understand when you have let's say, a technical background, what the other environments are, and the other way around. If you have a legal or a policy background, what the technical challenges are that are dealt with by other people. So what is important, I think, to understand in this course is that we have this mix of what I always call alpha, beta, and gamma people backgrounds. And what we would like you to understand and to encourage you to really embrace it is especially the challenges. Because in the challenges, you'll be put in a mixed team of alpha, beta, and gamma. And that means that you have to learn the jargon of your teammates, and to really start working together on such a challenge. And that is not different from real life, because in real life, if you would start having a job in cyber, you will notice that you have people from various backgrounds that need to work together to make our internet and our other kind of applications and clouds and what have you more cyber safe and cyber secure. And I can guarantee you that, well, during the course, you'll get to understand that there might be even much more that we cannot teach about, but that we will touch upon in one way or the other anyway. So I think that's important. With regard to the game, thank you, Noel, for putting that out and make it famous already. But the game is an interesting one. It's what we would call a strategic capability game, and that means it's not a crisis management game. So there's an attack. What should we do? No, it's about strategy making, and that means that we put you in a situation where we say, okay, how to make Southern Africa more cyber resilient. And for that, you need all kind of capabilities. So the question is, well, playing this game, how to make Southern Africa more cyber capable. And we have then some 40 plus capability cards, as we call them. And each of the cards might be not familiar to you at all. There's a little description, but it might also force you to go on the net and look it up. What is it? So here it's not only using your own mind and think out on the topic of each card to be played, but also maybe do a bit of research yourself to really understand each and every card. Such a game is also, I think, interesting because it's also a game that you can play on the individual side on one, but at the same time you can learn from your peers that are playing the game as well. You can see the arguments that they use, so you can learn also from their arguments why they play a certain capability card, yes or no. Without further ado, we'll explain that in more depth next week already, or I think even on earlier actually. I think even on Wednesday, if I'm not mistaken. So that's the part where we have the lectures and the game. In order for you to get a certificate, you need to follow 75% of the lectures. That's important. And for that, we register. That means that you need to use the same email address that you used to register for this course. So it's very important, don't use other email addresses because we cannot follow it and then we cannot provide you with a certificate. So that's important. And the last part, so after this period of lectures, you'll be asked to join a challenge. And a challenge is typically done in a group of 10, 15 people, max, with this combination of alpha, beta, gamma background. And these challenges are provided by Microsoft, Datagrade, Hunt and Hackett, and Deloitte. And you will do one challenge only. So not four, just one. And you work in this team for the period given to you. And then at the end, we'll ask you to come up with a solution using a video to explain, and we'll get into the details of that one as well. After the school, if you have done your work, you showed up, and you did also join the challenge, you might end up with 2 certificates. I think that's important to mention. There's a lot of information available on the website. Just before starting asking questions to people, first have a look at the website. Most of it is there. There's a Q&A, there's an info bundle. It's a lot there. If you want to look at maybe earlier lectures of last year, some of it is there as well. So you can even teach yourself a bit further on that one. And for the rest, I would like to encourage you to join, to try to learn. If you do not understand stuff deeper, I mean, the web has a lot to offer as well. So, and of course, and that I think is an important one that that also the panelists said, network. So we have various socials. We have an alumni network of the school on LinkedIn. And that's something that I think both Stephanie and Emma and of course Noel and others and also Berend Kwak can allude to. But I think that's important as well because you'll be the next generation to also help out for next school, hopefully get as much as possible attendees. So before ending this one, I still and again want to thank everybody involved in organizing this. There's both Noel and Brett and Trishan and Stephanie and Emma and Berend, and I might still forget one or two. Sorry for that. The ambassador, students, of course, and I'm looking really forward to meeting you at the end again for the official ceremonies and the closing of the school again. So thank you, and see you hopefully soon.
Thank you, Michelle. Yes, let's remember that the lectures start tomorrow. So upwards and onwards and off we go. And so thank you for joining our show this afternoon. It's already 4:45, so we've kept you busy for most of the afternoon. And we're very motivated and looking forward to seeing you all tomorrow. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.